Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we are looking at BT16 Magnamon X-Antibody. So, starting with our eggs, we are running one copy of BT11 Magnamon. If you have a blue tamer in play, you will draw one card. We should have our Davises in play, so we should be able to draw a card off of this, but we did just want to fill this out with 5 eggs, so this is our extra egg of choice. Then we're going to go 4 copies of the new BT16 DemiVeemon. All turns, while this Digimon has 2 or more colors, it gets 1000 DP. This is going to keep our Magnamon X really big to block lots of big bodies that are trying to swing over it. Then we're going to go 4 copies of BT12 Veemon. On play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with Imperial Dramon in its name or the free trait, and 1 card with Davis Motomiya in its name. Among them to your hand, the rest go bottom deck. This is better than Ukomon, in my opinion, because it's going to grab you a free traded card and a Davis, where Ukomon would potentially just grab you 1 card. You could sub this with Ukomon if you want to. I just think that the on-play search to grab 2 pieces is potentially really strong, so that is why I am running it. Then 4 copies of the promo Veemon. Your turn, when this Digimon would digivolve into a card with the free trait. If you have a tamer, reduce the digivolution cost by 1. And then the inheritable is if this Digimon has 2 or more colors, draw 1. We should see that activate, as all of our Magnamons should be 2 color. And it's just a really fantastic draw engine for this deck. Then we're going to go 4 copies of BT16 Veemon. Your turn, once per turn, when one of your other Digimon is played or digivolves. If that Digimon is green or has the free trait, gain 1 memory. Your turn, this Digimon gains 2000 DP. This, in combination with the DemiVeemon egg, is going to make our Magnamon X-Antibody absolutely massive. So this Veemon is a must-run at 4 in this deck. Moving on to our Magnamons, we have 4 copies of the ST17 Magnamon. It has a security effect of D-Digivolve 1 on 1 Digimon, and then at the end of the battle, one of your Digimon may Digivolve into this card without paying the Digivolution cost, which is insanely strong. It has Blocker and Armor Purge, and then when Digivolving, trash a top Digivolution card of one of your opponent's Digimon for each of that Digimon's colors, then return one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards to the hand. So this is just a big middle finger in the security. It is really, really good. The Blocker Armor Purge, as per usual on the Magnamons, is really strong. It keeps your bodies on board and keeps the offensive pressure for you in this deck. 2 copies of the BT13 Magnamon. It has Blocker. All turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area, draw 1. Then you can play a Veemon from your hand or this Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the cost. We can use this to trigger our on-play Veemon search to grab more pieces, which is really strong. So 2 copies of this card. Then we have 4 copies of the old BT8 Magnamon. It also has Blocker and Armor Purge. When Digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon, and it gets 2000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn for each card with Armor Form in its traits in your trash. We do like Armor Purge a lot in this deck. That's why we're running 4 of this rather than 4 of the BT13 Magnamon. This is just a really fantastic card for this deck. It's also one of the only Magnamons we can run, so obviously we're going to run it at 4. Then we go 3 copies of Zudomon ACE. This is the only level 5 we run in this deck. Just because it's really all we need. All of our Magnamon X's can Digivolve on top of Magnamon. We just have this as a hand trap in this deck. So, on play, when Digivolving, trash any 2 Digivolution cards from your opponent's Digimon, then return one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards to the hand. In combination with the ST17 Magnamon, this is a great way to bounce cards to your opponent's hand. And it's fantastic in this deck. So, we have it at 3. Then we're going to go 2 copies of the BT9 Magnamon X-Antibody. It digivolves from 4 from a Magnamon, or it can digivolve for 3 on top of that Zudomon. Opponent's turn, when an opponent's Digimon attacks, if a card with Armor Form in its traits or X-Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, you may switch the target of attack to this Digimon, and then all turns, when this Digimon would be deleted, you may place the top card of this Digimon on top of your security stack face down to prevent that deletion. So, if you Digivolve this on top of Zudomon, you do still get your opponent's turn effect because you have Magnamon underneath, so that is fantastic. And then this basically gives you a redirect and then buffs your security up by 1 when it gets hit. So we do like this card at least 2. I have seen some people run it at 1. I just don't think that is consistent enough to warrant running it. So I have it at 2. I think it's definitely more comfortable there to make sure that you don't always whiff on a level 6 if you don't have it. Then the star of the show, we have 4 copies of Magnamon X-Antibody. This has Blocker, Armor Purge, Digivolves on a 2-color Magnamon for 5, or Digivolves for 4 from the Zudomon that we showed earlier. When Digivolving, if Magnamon X-Antibody or a card with the Armor Form trait in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's effects and gets 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. Then unsuspend this Digimon. All turns, once per turn, when a card is removed from a security stack, you may activate one of this Digimon's when Digivolving effects. So, ideally, you're going to digivolve this on top of a Magnamon, and you're just going to have your big boss monster. It's going to have Blocker, Armor Purge. You're going to get 3,000 DP off the when digivolving, putting you at 15k. And then the DemiVeemon and the two-color Veemon egg are going to give you another 3,000. So that should put you at a comfortable 18,000 DP. Next, we're going to go one copy of Death-X-Mon. This hits Rapidmon X-Antibody pretty hard. D-Digivolve is really great against Armor Purge decks, so I do want to make sure that this deck is in the deck list so that you have the option to use against other Armor Purge decks. One copy of Ruin Mode, because this is fantastic against everything else in the meta. Just lock things down and make sure that you give the opponent's board minus 5k so that they can't do anything. And then I like one copy of Jesmon GX. This can go on top of any level 6 with Royal Knight in its trait, so this can go over Magnamon X, or the old Magnamon X as well. And then you get to place one card with Royal Knights in its traits and a play cost of 13 or less from your hand or trash under this Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. Activate that card's when digivolving effect as an effect of this Digimon, then Blitz, so you can gain immunity from the Magnamon X-Antibody if you want to. And then when a card with Royal Knights is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, it gains Piercing, Blocker, and Security +1 for each such card. Important to note that all of our level 4 Magnamons are Royal Knights. So at the bare minimum, if you have Magnamon, Magnamon X, and then you tuck another Magnamon X underneath this Jesmon GX, you're going to have Security Attack +3. You're going to swing for 4 Blitz checks with Piercing and Blocker. You're going to be immune to Digimon effects. It's just going to be really, really, really strong, and it is a great finisher for this deck. So I do definitely recommend a copy. Try it out for yourself and see if you like it. Then we go 4 copies of Mental Training, reveal top 2, and then the delay effect to digivolve for 2 less. This is just going to keep us from getting choked and kind of enable some of our plays later in the game. I do always like the trainings in all of the decks that I run. I think it's a no-brainer. You should always run it. Well, not always, but you typically run 3 or 4 in whatever deck you're playing. It's just really good. It does, important to note, whiff all of our level 7s, and it does whiff a lot of our options. So if you're looking for those pieces, maybe don't use the Mental Training. But it's great for digivolving into our 4s and 6s. Then we're going to go 2 copies of Blinding Ray. This is just insurance against Blast Aces. I think we don't need more than 2. It's just, again, insurance against Blast Aces. It stops us from swinging into something scary in security. If you're playing against something with a lot of security bombs, you Blinding Ray before you swing to make sure you don't die to the security check. Then we have 2 copies of Awakening of the Golden Knight. When you have a Digimon with Armor form in its traits in play, you may use this card without meeting its color requirements. Main, you can digivolve one of your Digimon with Armor form into a Magnamon in its name in your hand, ignoring its Digivolution requirements and without paying its memory cost. The Digimon digivolved with this effect can't have its DP reduced by your opponent's effect until the end of your opponent's turn, and the security effect will return a card with Magnamon in its name from your trash to hand and add this card to your hand. So in security, this is going to grab us back our Magnamon X's, which is really fantastic to have in a potential security bomb. And this is going to let us digivolve into the Magnamon X for 3 instead of 5, and then stop our DP from being reduced as well, which is also important to note. So I like this card at 2. I think it does definitely have a good use case in this deck. 2 copies of Heaven's Judgment. This is cracked with Magnamon X-Antibody. Magnamon X-Antibody is a 3-color card, so you're going to activate the minus 6,000 DP effect 3 times, basically. So that is just really, really strong. You're going to get to dole out minus 18k DP on the board, and that's just too good to say no to. If you have a Magnamon X on the board and this is in security, or you just decide to throw it down, I mean, you're basically wiping your opponent's board. So I definitely recommend 2 copies. Then we have 2 copies of Shuu Yulin. She is a memory setter, and she can mind link to anything with X-Antibody or Digipolice, so this can get underneath our Magnamon X's and our Jesmon GX's as well. All turns when you have X-Antibody or Digipolice, you gain Alliance and Reboot. So you can now Alliance for even more big checks and then reboot after the fact. So that 4 checks that we get with Jesmon, we're going to get to reboot after and then get Blocker. So that is fantastic. And then lastly, 4 copies of the promo Davis Motomiya. If you have a Digimon with a free trait, gain 1 memory. On play, activate one of the following effects. You can play a Veemon from your hand without paying cost, or one of your Digimon can digivolve into X Veemon. We're never going to do that. We're always going to use this to play a Veemon and then get our free memory. So he's mandatory at 4. That is it for the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think that this is probably the best deck in the meta. It's going to be really, really strong, and I'm interested to see how other people play this deck. I definitely think there's going to be some kind of version that has Ukomon over maybe this Veemon, and maybe the jamming Veemon has a place in the deck next to this Magnamon here that allows you the unsuspend. That pairs really nicely with the jamming Veemon. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Have a nice day.